So far, anybody wanted to share anything? Any kind of quick, maybe feedback or any kind of surprises? Anything so far? Since morning? Nothing, anything, whatever you want. Good. Okay, good, good. The session, yeah. ऐसा कई बार हम सोचते हैं ना कि जब गवर्नमेंट वाले काम करते तो हम पर्सनली स्पीकिंग इवन इंक्लूडिंग माई सेल्फ कुछ तो करते रहते हैं यार, पता नहीं क्या करते रहते हैं. देन व्हेन यू रियलाइज, ओके, in most of the time when we are sitting in our AC cooled and office and all, when we are working as a software engineer or maybe program delivery manager, then बहुत easy लगता है. But if, especially as far as government is concerned, if they are working, they are having a altogether different challenge. कोई सुनने वाला है नहीं है, ऑफिस प्रॉपर है नहीं है, ब्ला ब्ला, सो मेनी थिंग्स. Okay, so I think it's quickly I would prefer to start. So we have a Kamal Tejnani, right sir?
Yes,
okay,
correct.
ठीक है. So he is having around more than 20 plus years of experience overall, and he has been a programmer, technical program manager, scrum master, agile coach. I think sub whatever you can ask further as well if something is left it out. Okay. So currently, if I am correct, you are working as a transformation agile coach, right? Okay, and you are also along with the DevOps coach as well. So he's a hobbyist coder as well, loves to do training, lot of other things and all. So Kamal, rather than I am again and again telling, rather than I say so many things, let the person speak about himself. So that's always best way to start. So thank you, Kamal. All yours.
Thank you. Thanks a lot. Hi, good afternoon, everyone. Yeah. So while he was introducing me, I was also, thinking about all the roles that I have played, and yeah, they seem to be quite a list, but it's not as if I wanted to play those roles. It is just that those roles came to me, and I rose to the occasion, and I was able to fortunately play out those roles. And while playing those roles, I realized that in the process of playing those roles, I had somehow kept myself relevant. So what do I mean that I have been able to keep myself relevant? And a disclaimer before we get started. So for this topic, I have been getting lots of pushback from many of my friends and colleagues. And it is quasi-controversial in the sense that whether and you all will see why I say so as we move along. But it is quasi-controversial, and many of my friends don't speak to me for a week or so after we have had this discussion. Okay, and they say that no, this is not the right path. But I said, okay, it has kept me relevant, and so that's how this topic came about. And I thought let me present it at the RSG. The RSG was coming along, and let me get a feedback from the participants. So that's where it is. We'll just jump into the topic, okay? So Capital One scraps 1100 agile positions. I relocated from the US 1.5 years back, and my last project in the US was with Capital One. And I was not playing the role of a pure play agile coach at Capital One when I was there. It was a combo offer. BOGO bolte hai na, buy one get one free. So it was a combo offer where I was playing the role of a technical product manager and an agile coach. And we were able to do it successfully. So what are the things that I needed to do in order to be successful as a technical product manager? Because I have been doing agile coaching since 2015. I started my agile career as a scrum master, or rather as a developer in an agile team in 2012. So agile experience to hai, but how could I play the technical product manager role successfully? So I prepared myself, spoke to experts, I had access to Udemy, etc., so on and so forth. So I was able to play that role successfully. And it's not that I'm saying that I was successful. The proof of the pudding is in eating it, right? So the client told me that if at all you come back from India, we have lots of other product manager roles available. and I can pitch you into one of the other profile. So what we missed out here was when this came in the newspaper, right? And so this is well known, it's there in the public domain, so I can share it. When this came about, everyone missed this, the unread part. So this is not very visible, but these are the lots of product management roles available. Even as the agile practitioner roles became no longer available, or that group got dissolved. So what does this tell us? That there is a need for agile coaches, or rather product managers, who have that agile mindset, right? So this is what it tells us. One more example, and I will not name this company because this is not there in the public domain. So my neighbor in Chicago used to work in this company, in this financial services company, and they did away with all agile coaches and scrum masters. And they gave the scrum masters an option. Do you want to become product owners? And my neighbor came running to me. Hey Kamal, I have been a scrum master. How can I play the role of a product owner? So I asked him a question. As a scrum master, don't you coach product owners? Scrum masters are expected to coach product owners, isn't it? So have you been coaching product owners or not? Yes, I have been coaching product owners. So how have you been coaching product owners? You know what a product owner does. You have helped the product owner in all the techniques of product backlog management, how product prioritization is done, how the product backlog items are created, so on and so forth. Right? So you know, except that perhaps you might not have done it hands-on, because that's not what was expected of a scrum master. So do you think now, with this perspective, you could play the role of a product owner? He said, let me give it a shot. I told him, what do you have to lose, boss? As it is, you're losing your job. What do you have to lose? And you're like 150K wala job hai, USD. You're losing that. देखो salary उतना ही मिलेगा ना? बोला हाँ, salary उतना ही मिलेगा. बोला करना. And I'm happy to share that he has been at it for the last 1.5 years, and he's been doing a good job, successfully. Okay. So coming to the topic for the day, polymorphism. So why do I say polymorphic agile coach, and what is polymorphism? Essentially, we have all learned polymorphism when we were learning programming, right? In Java, C++, those who have done. And so what is polymorphism? It's just taking different forms. Based on the need, you take different forms. So this is important, based on the needs. So in a programming language, depending upon the context in which that API is called and the parameters passed, it takes that role. Similarly, as agile coaches, based on the need, we can take different forms. And you all can tell me, hey Kamal, it's very easy to say, na? So you have been successfully been able to do a technical product management role, and your friend was able to work successfully as a product owner. And now you're saying that an agile coach can do all kinds of roles. So let me prove you that even in our day-to-day life, we are polymorphic. So most of the time we take the example of a woman. So I thought, let's take an example of a man for a change, right? So a man, he is a son. He's also a father at the same time. And sometimes he's a good husband, not always. So aren't we polymorphic in our daily life? We are without knowing. And that's how I'm building the case for a polymorphic agile coach, because without knowing, we are doing so many things. For a few minutes, I attended the track 1 where he was speaking about how we mid-career professionals can learn AI and data science, right? So that is also something I'm touching on in the last few minutes, where after a certain age, how we can become polymorphic, right? So I'll be touching upon that as well. And similarly for women, good daughter, always good wives, and sometimes good daughter-in-law. No comments. So we are polymorphic in our daily life. And so what does an agile coach have to do with polymorphism? So I've already built that case, right? What are the roles I have played? So I have played the role of a technical product owner, technical product manager at Capital One that I just mentioned. Can we play the role of a delivery manager? I essentially started my agile journey, and I'll tell you another interesting thing. How many of y'all were in a delivery role before you became agile practitioners? Okay. Almost. Precisely. Precisely. Beautiful. So I think what has happened is, after 2015, people became pure play agile practitioners. Correct me if I'm wrong, sir. Before 2015, and I started in 2012, we were already playing a delivery role, and we got into agile. Except that in those 5 to 6 years where we were perhaps doing pure play agile coaching, we were, or sometimes not even doing pure play agile coaching. Like he said, doing something along with that, right? We were still being able to play a delivery role. So delivery manager, because more than 50% of us already have a delivery background, except that we did, it is something that we did in a previous life, it looks like a previous life. And all we need to do is do it again. DevOps transformation. So I'm currently working also as a DevOps coach. How did I become a DevOps coach? There is a very interesting story. So I was playing the role of a Scrum Master, and they wanted to release into production very quickly. And when they wanted to release into production quickly, we necessarily needed to do CI, continuous integration. They were using a Java stack, so Jenkins. And you cannot release faster without breaking things if you don't do unit testing. That's how I became DevOps. I became part of that DevOps initiative, and I also helped drive it at Toyota when I was in the US, right? So that's how I became part of DevOps transformation in the next few projects that I was working in, and currently I'm also playing this role for one of my portfolio. So doable so far. An engineering manager. So engineering manager क्या करता है? And what is the difference between delivery manager and engineering manager? So these are, according to me, कभी-कभी है ना सिर्फ ये roles होते हैं, right? If you try to do a Google search and see the difference between engineering manager and delivery manager, आपको कुछ लंबा चौड़ा difference नहीं मिलेगा. तो I was an engineering manager for a large publishing company, one of the largest publishing companies, and that project was in Ruby and Ruby on Rails. So they asked me, have you worked on Ruby and Ruby on Rails? So I asked the interviewer, right, आपने कितना साल Ruby और Ruby on Rails पे काम किया है? तो उसने बोला नहीं, मैं भी सीख रहा हूँ. तो बोला मैं भी सीख लूँगा. तो वो हिंदी में एक कहावत है ना, I hope everyone understands हिंदी here, right? हम पुणे में है. If it's in Chennai, most of you all would have said no. तो माँ की पेट से कोई सीख के नहीं निकलता है, राइट? तो हम हमेशा वैसे ही सोचते हैं. उसको तो मैंने ये डायलॉग नहीं चिपकाया, वो गोरे को, लेकिन आई आस्क्ड हिम द सेम थिंग, एंड आई लर्नड Ruby and Ruby on Rails, and it was not difficult. Why did I need to play the role of an engineering manager? Like I said, I did not try to do these things. I had to do these things because these things were the only things that were available to me at that point of time. This was during 2018 kind, जहाँ प्रोजेक्ट्स अभी जो चल रहा है ना AI की वजह से, 2018 प्रोजेक्ट्स ही नहीं थे. तो मेरे वाइस प्रेसिडेंट ने बोला कमल जो काम आएगा कर लेना, एंड आई वाज इन द यूएस. तो ये काम आया, इंटरव्यू क्लियर किया, हाँ कर दिया. कैसे किया? तो उसने पूछा, मैंने जवाब दिया, एंड वी डिलीवर्ड इट. That is where the confidence, so this is my story, and that is how the confidence came, that we can do anything and everything provided we get some time, some bandwidth. And the person on the other side of the table is willing to give us that leeway that if we are wrong, we should be given a chance to correct and stand up and try again. So these are actually the roles I have played. And what other roles I have played in addition to that? Delivery manager हो गया, engineering manager हो गया, program manager तो हम करते ही हैं. As agile coaches, we work with multiple programs sometimes, right? Product manager, so Capital One के लिए RT. तो how many safe practitioners here? Safe practitioners. Those who are not safe practitioners don't lose heart. It's very easy to learn safe. तो एक RT का रोल था. I was not a safe program consultant. I asked the company, sponsor करोगे? It's a very expensive course. $2500. Again, I was in Chicago. तो बोला हाँ करेंगे. Did my SPC. Went for this thing. Exam के लिए तो हो जाता है. Exam तो pass हो ही जाता है. Went for the interview, cleared the client interview, become an RT also. So what I'm trying to say is, many a time we have these mental blocks that prevent us. And I'll give you an example. So what these mental blocks are. For the Capital One project that I presented in the first slide, the greatest challenge that we had was, because it was a technical product manager role, and the greatest challenge we had was, though we had lots of Agile coaches on bench in the US, we weren't able to get technical product managers in that we needed in our project. We needed 5 technical product managers. It was a very strategically important project for Capital One due to many reasons, but we weren't able to find. And when I was talking to my colleagues who did not want to make an attempt, and I asked them, hey, why aren't you trying? So it was a typical conversation went like this, you know what, Kamal, I'm not a technical person. Do you have an Agile background? Yeah. How can you ask me that? I am an Agile coach, you know that, right? So all that this role wants is a marriage between your Agile mindset and your little bit of technical knowledge. So I asked him, if I help you with the technical stuff, it's something very simple. It's your API calls, right? आजकल तो सब microservices होता है. It's your API calls. Some request जाएगा, some response आएगा. You use a web application, I asked him, हाँ. So how do you make a request? How do you? It's so simple. So you can do it or not. Still, he did not have the guts to come for the interview. I was talking to somebody earlier, and during the break, and he was asking me, what's the topic? And I was explaining to him, he's an old friend, what is the topic? So what he told me was something very interesting, and that is not part of the deck actually. He said many a time, and this is again controversial, he said many a time what happens is, when coaches become coaches coming from delivery role, they are very happy. Why are they very happy? बोलते हैं delivery का pressure नहीं है. हाँ, delivery का pressure नहीं है. और we are, मतलब वो हिसाब से we are not bound to anything. But that is not true. Because as Agile coaches also, pure play Agile coaches also, हमको कुछ तो करके दिखाना है. If I am being billed $120 per hour in the US, and if I don't generate value, तो client पूछेगा ना तूने क्या किया? So this is a misconception that people often have. So another thing that was not covered was why people don't want to take up other roles, especially delivery roles, is because there is this misconception कि as Agile coaches अपनी life easy है. अपनी life easy नहीं है. हम समझते नहीं हैं. It is outcome driven, and there is something expected from us, right? So, and of course, I've played the role of an Agile coach and Scrum Master. Quite often I forget that. Okay. So, why should we be polymorphic? अभी हम और भी कुछ role लेंगे इनमें से. तो दूसरे IT jobs are also in the current market scenario being axed. We are seeing, especially in the US, right? मेरे सामने पूरा वो Capital One का पूरा चले गया. At the same time, some Java professionals were also laid off. So, why should we be polymorphic and take up other roles when those other roles are also being axed? It's very simple. You're casting your net wide. जितना आपका net wide होगा, उतना ज़्यादा मछली आ सकता है. अगर आपने net ज़्यादा डाला ही नहीं, तो मछली आएगा ही नहीं. It's something as simple as that. And does this pay off? It has paid off for me, because everything that I'm presenting here is based on experience, something that I have gone through. Okay? So the next one is very interesting. Let's take one by one. Okay? And the one after that is also very interesting. So, with a show of hands, which of the following roles do you all think you all will be able to play? How many of you all think you all will be able to play the role, given whatever you all are doing now, whatever is your experience, how many of you all think you all will be able to play the role of a product owner? Okay, good. Majority. Delivery manager? Sahi. Engineering manager? हाँ कर रहे हो सब लोग. Technical architect, इसके लिए तो सब लोग हाँ नहीं करेंगे. Wow, that's on my bucket list. In fact, मेरा company तो बोल रहा है compulsorily करो. Oh wow, I couldn't go beyond the practitioner. Okay, great. So one, this is a technical, and this I have put in purposely, okay? We will discuss this. QA lead, QA manager, how many of us can become? Okay. So, currently, for one of the clients, which is one of the largest pharmaceutical companies in the UK, I am helping them drive that automation project. Why I am helping them drive the automation project? Because you tie it back to DevOps. वो CI/CD करना चाहता है, they have never done automation. So, because we want to successfully implement CI/CD, successfully implement the DevOps, so we are working backwards and helping them. So I told them, hey, you guys don't have automation, कैसे करेंगे? So who will help us? So the client said, तू ही कर ले. अच्छा, okay, मैं ही कर लेता हूँ. So I am helping them drive the automation project as well. Helping them, I'm not hands-on, you don't need to be hands-on, but you can help drive it, right? By driving, you will facilitate, you will coach, and sometimes you will learn. So I'm learning something known as Tosca, which I have never done. Tosca मैंने सुना भी नहीं था, and वो Tricentis का है, और browser stack, और ये सब नया चीज़. मैंने तो Selenium सीखा था 2009 में. उसके बाद मैंने automation में खुद कुछ नहीं किया था. और TDD किया था, JUnit, because I was a developer, right? Cucumber किया था, BDD किया था, but ये नहीं किया था. अब ये सीखा मैंने, and successfully. In fact, yesterday I wasn't able to come because we had a demo sprint review था with the client, and the client was very happy. He said, it is good, I am very happy, because we have integrated with the Jira, and we have integrated with Vera, something known as Vera, जहाँ से approval आता है, और Q test. So सब कुछ दिखता है. Client was very happy. अब तक जो पैसा दिया है वो वसूल हो गया, right? So that was the. I was in fact not confident. मैं सोचा कैसे जाएगा. Now we will move forward based on his feedback. So personal experience we have been able to. And project manager. How many of you all can play the role of a project manager? In fact, many projects to just take project manager and make them scrum masters. Okay. So those of you all, I think most of you all said yes to the various roles. Now what I want you all to do is think that for some of the roles that you all said no to, right? If you all are given that support, so what kind of training support would you need? So to say play the role of a technical architect, I'm talking about myself. I've never been an architect, that's a role I always wanted to play. So to play the role of a technical architect, if the support is available in my organization, can I play the role of a technical architect? And my organization has a group, an architectural group. And I was speaking to an architect and I told him, see boss, see Vinay, future to technology hai na? So now I want to become a technical architect. बोला क्या कमल, तू इतना अच्छा काम कर रहे है, तू उधर ही रहे. मैं बोला नहीं, I want to become an architect. What I should do? So he said, do this. I will help you. So you need, of course, a mentor. You need somebody to support you. So for me, this was something that I was not able to. And for those of you all, because I did not see all the hands raised, right? But for some of these roles, just take a minute or two. I'll just pause for a minute. Take a minute or two and just try to think, introspect. For the role that you said no to, do you think that if you were given some kind of a support, or is there some other kind of support that you would need in order to play one of these roles? So just take a minute, think about it.
If the organization has a good practice, they need to have it. If they are having good practice in place, everybody will be able to play all those very important.
Absolutely. See, in Agile, very often some of the practices that we follow is pair programming. So we can easily do pair programming with a developer or an architect and learn.
I want to say that learning is one thing, but then the last point, that is the most important to get your experience. Like you have to get paired with someone You have to get a little bit of hand holding until you are standing on your own feet. So that is really important.
More than that, I believe one thing is mentorship, buddy, program, whatever. But more than that, it is, pushing yourself beyond your boundaries. Because I am into management, leadership roles, that's okay. But what, bothers me is technical architect. So if I make up my mind, I have to go into that role and push myself beyond that, I am sure I'll be able to do it. I can give you an example of one of my colleagues. He is a Scrum Master. Yeah, somebody just randomly, in a project told him that, I believe you should also be a technical person to understand the challenges of the team and all. And believe it, within 6 months, he has done a SAP course of logistics management. And I got so much inspired by him that, my God, how could you do that? He said, yeah, somebody told me, and I have done some, projects in SAP since my 6 years of career or 8 years of career in that. So I thought, why not go into that stream? And he did that course.
Absolutely. Amazing.
And I thought that, if you think you can do it, that's your mindset. And then you will get all the support.
Correct.
It's like, if I go to one of my team members, show me how to code, he will do that. But you have to take your bandwidth.
Absolutely, absolutely.
One thing to mention, it is not only, so you don't need to be dependent on the organization level support. So here is the example, right? So if you have great rapport with the colleague, you have the network, you can get help from people. Like, if you have curiosity, right, you can learn anything.
Join appropriate community.
Absolutely.
Yes, meetups. Yes, sir.
Those who attended this Gen AI session yesterday, asking right questions in the AI tool is also
Yes, sir.
It's like curiosity and your interest also brings that
Absolutely.
I want to become, because most of the time this requirements are driven by management that hey, there is a requirement of product owners, can you be one? But if there is no requirement, still you want to try that. So and sometimes even if so, what happened with me was your interest and the opportunity come hand in hand, and that's the biggest coincidence.
Correct.
So, like I was interested, so I am a Scrum Master basically, and my team deals with cyber security, and they were going on for some training for certified ethical hacker, and I was also interested. So I just asked my team, hey, I also want to do. So they were telling me why you want to do. I mean, so I just told that jokingly that if some impediment comes, then I need to understand the impediment before I solve it.
Correct.
So then he told that, okay, ask your manager if they are able to sponsor you. So then I went for it, and the training was a bit tough for me, but then the catch was now the organization has sponsored. There's a cost involved. Now kuch bhi karke karna hai. But that thing helped me to learn and develop more interest into it.
Exactly.
And eventually I become that ethical hacker. I postponed my exam because I was not prepared for it 3 times, but eventually did it. But the whole learning was that if you have interest, it developed my more interest into cyber security.
Absolutely.
And then my manager asked last question, now how do you feel if I put you in the role of a product owner? Would you be able to make it? So I told yeah, now I'm a bit confident about that. So your interest and the opportunity, if they come,
Absolutely.
definitely it helps.
That's a great example. You wanted to say something. Very inspiring, very good example. Yeah, very good example. Thanks for sharing. In fact, so so मैं ना, do you all watch Shark Tank India? Yes. All of us watch Shark Tank India. So in one of the episodes, I forgot which one it was. वो तो कहीं से उसका सॉफ्टवेयर का बैकग्राउंड नहीं था, टेक्निकल बैकग्राउंड नहीं था. He developed an application on his own, and they asked him how you did it. So सीखा, YouTube पे सीखा. I used to work in Siruseri Chennai for 6 months, and I used to travel a long distance. So a newbie developer fresh out of college, so he used to travel in the cab with me. An inspiring story like his story, okay? We got talking, and I asked him, hey, what do you do, on weekends, like that general talk, small talk, petty talk. So he said, Kamal, I do Bitcoin mining. बोला क्या? This was in 2015-16, before I flew to the US. बोला क्या? तो बोला कैसे करता है? तो मेरे बेड के नीचे मैंने वो मशीन्स रख दिया है, माइनिंग होता है. बोला तूने सीखा कैसे? बोला यूट्यूब से. यूट्यूब से ब्लॉकचेन सीखा? बोला हाँ, और माइनिंग भी किया. और मेरे 3 और दोस्त करते हैं, सब रिमोट हैं. शार्क टैंक इंडिया what that guy said, I always remember, and now what he said, right? I will always remember, and we can actually do anything and everything. So like I was saying, right, in a क्रॉस मैनर की माँ के पेट से कोई भी कुछ सीख के नहीं निकलता, यहीं पे अपने को सीखना है, और ये सब मेंटल ब्लॉक्स हैं. एंड दिस इज एग्जैक्टली व्हाट आई वाज टेलिंग माय फ्रेंड डे बिफोर यस्टरडे. ही वाज पुशिंग मी बैक, कमल नहीं तो कुछ भी बोलता है, मैं तो अजाइल कोच हूँ. ही वाज स्क्रिबिंग. यस सर, यू वांटेड
यू आर गिविंग दैट एग्जांपल. माँ के पेट से कोई नहीं सीख के नहीं आता. हाँ. जो सीख के आया था ना अभिमन्यु, वो मारा गया. सो डोंट थिंक ऑफ दैट.
एग्जैक्टली.
लाइफ में सीखो, that will be useful.
Exactly. Well said, well said. Good. Okay, we have a few minutes left. Okay, so this is what I was saying, that sometimes I've seen manual testers who already have the domain expertise, don't want to learn automation. So I actually had a friend who had to come back from Chicago because he wasn't willing to learn automation. He had been in that project for 5 years, right? Developers don't want to learn cross-skilling. हम बोलते हैं ना T-skilled, right? Developers don't want to cross-functional team. T-skilled people, not only T-skilled teams. Very often it is misunderstood. Cross-functional team. Why not cross-functional people, right? So why don't you become that? And I have learned C, I have been hands-on, so, but I have seen this, and this is one part. What about polymorphism after the age of 58? Now what I am seeing is, many of us who got in around 2000 will have to necessarily retire at 58. ये तो rule है. I checked. I spoke to my friends in other IT services companies and I asked them, what is the retirement age in your company? They said 58. So I asked them, क्या करेगा 58 के बाद? क्या करेगा? So you will necessarily have to learn something. So that track 1, AI and data science, mid-career professionals. This is polymorphism. When you learn something new, after the age of 58, you're transforming yourself. And isn't this growth mindset? We always talk about growth mindset. So when my friends push me back, right? Many of my good friends push me back. So I ask them, "Arey, tera growth mindset kidhar gaya?" We keep on talking about growth mindset as agile practitioners, but when it comes to ourselves, though the situation is different, where did that growth mindset go? Right? So before we end this topic, I want to leave you all with this thought, especially those of you all who will retire after 8-10 years, right? You perhaps want to plan for it now itself, or at least make that growth mindset, like I have started doing. I have researched, I want to learn robotics. So I was telling my son the other day, you know, I'm going to learn robotics at a place called Dadar in Bombay with school kids. That's how I'm going to make my fundamentals. And so polymorphism after the age of 58, when you necessarily have to retire, and my wife doesn't want me to sit at home after retirement. And I also don't want to. Huh? So that's all that I had. Anything you all want to share? Yes, sir.
Only one request for all of you, because use mic so that recording.
Hello. So I keep on discussing with this that, you know, agile coaches as a product is now not going to sell. Agile coaching as a feature needs to be developed in all leaders. And I think you are talking about the same.
Absolutely.
Right. On one thought, I do agree, and I am of the opinion, and I keep on learning. I'm very interested in technical. I like to be hands-on. I also heard that, you know, or this ask of organizations from the agile coaches to do something else is also driven by some sort of budget issues, right? Now, this is a very big factor in pushing these people into doing polymorphism, right? On the other hand, I also feel that, you know, as agile coaches, we are not doing enough to make the leaders realize the importance of agile coaches themselves.
Absolutely.
And you also talked about they want to see the outcome. But when agile coaches would be there for any transformation, they have to discuss with their leaders, this is what the scope of transformation is, this is what the outcome would be, and this is these outcomes are not going to come by itself.
Exactly.
You have to be on the ground. The leaders have to be on the ground.
Absolutely.
Just blaming the coaches that you are not doing anything is not going to work. So
Agreed.
these are both sides.
Yes.
And
Agreed.
these are equally important sides. The polymorphism, taking on polymorphism by the agile coaches or the enterprise coaches is absolutely their own call. If they want to be purist, but they'll have to work with their leaders to say that, okay, this is the scope of the transformation and this is the outcome, you have to make your hands dirty. You cannot be an ivory tower leader saying that, okay, I want the change, but I'm not going to be involved in the change.
Exactly.
So I think this will work, this has to work on both ways.
Yes. You're right. I agree with you.
Yeah.
I lightly touched upon that point, but you're right. When I spoke about bandwidth, but yeah, I should have brought that perspective strongly. But yeah, thanks for sharing that.
Okay. Anyone knows Marty Kagan? Yeah, he's right, inspired, empowered, and he released his recent book, Transform. If anyone knows, so he's specifically talking about the polyformism.
Okay.
Not only for, I mean, he's not using that word,
Okay.
but he's talking about the roles. So it's specifically for product managers and the, it's about the leadership. So
Okay.
he has made this statement: we don't need Scrum Masters and Agile coaches.
Oh, really? I have to
We
read that
need
book.
people with the agility mindsets,
Okay.
right? Who can perform roles. So we
Absolutely.
don't need a person who says agile, and Scrum,
Absolutely.
right? So even for the product managers, we don't need project managers. All the product managers, 90% of the product managers are project managers.
Right.
They just talk about what, when, and why. That's not their job. It's way beyond that.
Absolutely.
So I think this is, high time, and I can correlate your, all things with Marty, that we need to, pull up our sleeves and, with the product mindset, we can do a lot of things.
Absolutely.
There is huge scope, but we are limiting ourselves, like you gave the example of your friend, right? Like he's limiting himself with the, only agile coach job. But
Exactly.
demand is now more than that. You can do
Much more than that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks for sharing that.
One
Yeah.
of the most biggest disservice that agile coaches have done is selling agile coaches as the destination, agile transformation as the destination, instead of a vehicle for the transformation that the organization actually wants to achieve.
Correct. Absolutely.
And because of this, many of the agile transformations have not been successful, because agile itself is not the outcome. The transformation or the scope that I was talking about earlier,
Correct.
that has not come out because the focus was on agile practices.
Yeah. Thanks for sharing.
Thank you for this session. So before in the tea break, we were discussing what this polymorphism is all about, and a lot of thoughts came in our mind. Maybe it is something like one person knows everything, or maybe we are like omnipresent agile coaches. So what it must be, what the topic is all about. So we were very curious about it. However, when I saw the content, it is pretty interesting, and yes, as an agile coach, we should be able to play all the role. Myself, I have come from the delivery role. However, I have come across one organization while recruiting. They had this role called as Agile Transformation Lead / Program Manager.
Okay.
And I asked them a recruiter question that what responsibilities / accountabilities you are expecting from this role. Because when you say transformation lead, it has different set of responsibilities, and when you say program manager, it has different set of responsibilities. They told me the whole list of responsibilities, which had a combination of both the roles as expected. How will I keep a focus? Now, if you expect me to be a transformation leader, of course, I have to make sure that a whole program understands what agility means.
Absolutely.
At the same time, if you expect me to a program manager, I have to make sure that we are aligned to the objectives of the program.
Right.
And of course, it starts from discovery and defining
Yes.
and so on. And they had no answer. So that means they themselves did not
Did
have
not
a
know.
clarity,
Absolutely.
or they did not have a proper understanding of how these two roles are different. And that's where I said, okay, maybe you should have that clarity first.
Yeah.
and then look for a role.
Yeah,
So
but
I
that's
did
a,
not
that's a very good in perspective, right? Because very often organizations themselves don't know what they want. Absolutely.
Exactly. So before even opting for that interview, I said no. First,
Okay.
have that clarity, and then I'll.
Thanks for
maybe-
sharing.
Yeah, I think we have space for one question. I think Ashutosh his hand.
Sorry. Hi, Ashutosh here. I want to take this to a totally different level. I had a team member, and yes, again, I'm not dwelling into moonlighting here, okay? That's a very, very controversial topic. He was the best drummer we had, and believe me, he used to play in a restaurant on Saturdays and Sundays. That is another level of polymorphism,
Yes.
which, and by the way, he has left Agile coaching now. He's into a band now. I can't reveal the name of the person for obvious reasons. I haven't taken permission. I should have asked him before I entered it. But this is another level of polymorphism which I have seen in my career.
Absolutely.
Of a team member who has moved into a drumming kind of
Wow,
role.
wow.
Passion drives him.
Passion. What after 58? Thank you. he's 38. Okay.
Hello.
Okay. Probably yes. Yes.
समझ जाओ सबके लिए चांस है. Variety is always there.
Yeah.
Okay, great session. Thanks a lot, Kamal.
Thank you. Thanks
Can
a
we have
lot.
a mentee? So, humble request, we are going to showcase the mentee slide, and I know that there is a problem, Wi-Fi network or whatever, like mobile network problem is there. Maybe you can go outside, that's fine. There is a retro board available, provide your feedback so that we will keep learning. And just give me a second, I think they are facing. So, let me call upon Shivani to felicitate our speaker today. Yeah.
Thank you. Thanks very much. Thank you. Thanks a lot. Thank you. Glad it was useful. Thank you.
एक फोटो तो बनता है, क्या बोलते
हाँ,
हैं?
एक फोटो तो बनता है. हाँ, दो बनता है. ठीक है. Thank you.
आजकल रील खत्म नहीं होती नहीं, पहले रील खत्म होती थी. अरे 32, 36 फोटो अच्छे से खींच.
पहले आशुतोष का मैंने 10 फोटो निकाला. आज सवेरे.
By the way, sorry, lunch is about to start by 1 p.m. so you can have a lunch. Thanks a lot, and keep providing feedback. And guys, sorry, I just missed out one point. Agile Sphere is available, so you can go and check it out. Thank you all.